Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Vic Akers Wonderland Road to Australia podcast. And after the roaring success of the previous episode, I've been asked to record again as host. Would you believe it? So, yes, and what a podcast we've got for you this time around. Group F, a packed program discussing Brazil, France, Panama, and Jamaica. And to help me go over all four teams is the amazing Matt Lorimer Roberts. Hello, Matt.
You know what? It's actually a miracle that a lot of people don't get that middle bit right. I get Lauren Nerdler and I get it all, but that's the first time someone's actually got it right. But yes,
I'll take that as a compliment.
yeah,
and
really good.
And also with me is once again the simply superb Lottie. Hello, Lottie. How are things going for you?
Yeah, they're all right. It's Friday. It's hot. It's
very
sticky. But yeah, we're only 12 days away from the World Cup. I'm so bloody excited.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's about 12 days and about I think just over 4 hours now. So it's like counting down the days. It's exciting. My England shirt finally arrived. I'm gonna do my my passage over to the England store and get my my number 9 done.
Yep.
Really excited. Like as most people know, I'm a massive Rachel Daly fan, and this is the opportunity to get with her name on the back of a shirt. Because obviously Beth Mead is no longer there, and Lauren James has hijacked her number 7 shirt.
So it's number 9 Rachel Daly all the way.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we have best of luck to Daly. Hopefully she can fill in at the number 9 and do us well for our country. Speaking of which, the Lionesses have touched down under. They have arrived on a very, very long, I never know, is it 12-hour, 24-hour flight, however it is, long it is from
It's 6 hours over to Dubai, and then you've got the 18-hour flight over.
Yeah, you have to stop over.
Hang on, no, my flight would have been over to Melbourne, so it might be a little bit less. It depends where they landed.
They went straight over to Singapore and then swapped over from Singapore.
It's still a 24-hour flight either way.
So one of the big things that came out, that there was a lot of interviews, as you may have seen some of the content talking about, who they want to sit next to or avoid, how they're going to pass the time. So I'm going to ask, and Lottie and Matt don't even know this, I'm just bringing it on them now. Lottie, if you were stuck on a plane for 24 hours, who would you want to be sat with, and how would you pass the time?
Well, 2016. I went over to Australia and New Zealand, so. I've done my time over there. Oh, not done my time. I've been over there and I can't wait to get back. But Adam, get your mind out the car. And
I wasn't thinking that.
Do you know what I did? I did a 24-hour Star Wars marathon. I watched every single film back to back, and I did not go to sleep. Got to the hotel in Auckland, New Zealand, which was my first stop. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I went straight to sleep till 10 a.m. the next day.
Lovely. If it were me, it would be the Lord of the Rings extended edition marathon. I'd watch all 3 films.
They didn't have that on the plane, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would have been my first choice.
I'd have brought my iPad along and put it up on the thing, and I'd also get a round of canasta going with the teammates, because I'm a big fan of the canasta car game. Matt, I'm going to go to you. If you were stuck on a plane for 24 hours, how would you pass the time?
Now you've all talked about it, I think you've nicked kind of the things that I would do. Like
I've done already. I've done it though.
I would probably take the Harry Potter extended version. Unfortunately, they didn't release the extended versions of those on from the 3rd to the final part 2 of Deathly Hallows, which was a bit of a shame. But still, you're talking well over 24 hours and you've got something to look forward to. I was quite interested in. Have you seen the glasses that they were wearing?
Yes, there was some interesting.
Do you know what? Yeah. The best bit of content that's come out of there at the moment. They're all doing the Marks and Spencer's advert, and they put Serena's glasses on Kira Walsh, and she looked like a mini me. I was killing myself. I'm all for it. I've missed the Lionesses content. I've missed my Daily Brightness as well, which is I'm so happy that's back.
Well, one of the great things of the last Euros was the interviews they used to do at the camp. You said that, and I don't know if they're doing something similar this time around. Hopefully, we'll get something similar this time around, because it's always good to see what's happening behind the scenes with the Lionesses. Before we move on to the groups, just a quick shout out. There was a birthday in the Arsenal family, and that was, of course, Chloe Lacasse. We wish her a very happy birthday. But now we will move on to the groups and the group of F, and the first team up is, of course, Brazil. A name that sort of inspires greatness, the sound of football, amazing skills. So it may surprise people to know they've never won the World Cup. Closest was in 2007. They were runners-up to Germany. They actually beat Brazil on the way to the final. They actually missed a penalty against Germany and lost 2-0. Last time out.
Rephrase that one, because you just said Brazil are beating Brazil.
Oh, Germany. Sorry, Brazil lost to Germany. Sorry. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Brazil lost to Germany 2-0 and missed a penalty against Germany. Germany, unfortunately, won that one. Last time out, they lost to France, the hosts 2-1 in 2019. They also chucked away a 2-goal lead to Australia. Caitlin Ford was actually one of the goal scorers, one of the first World Cup goals for Australia. It's worth watching back that game. And of course, legend Marta, 37 years old, making probably her last ever World Cup appearance for her country. So before we tuck in and pick this apart, we have a very special interview that Lottie and Matt did with our good friend Gabi, and this is what they had to say about the Brazil.
Good evening and welcome back to Vic Akers Wonderland, and we are back with another Fan Insider, but this one's a little bit different. I'm here, but you also notice that Matt is on the screen. Matt, how are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this one. One of my favourite teams outside of Europe, and it's going to be really interesting insight. Let's put it that way.
No, definitely. It's really, really exciting. Obviously, we are going to be looking at Brazil today, and also joining me today is Gabi. She is a Brazil fan. And how are you today?
I'm good. I've been following Brazil for 3 to 4 years. I started because of Orlando Pride. It's a team I support in the USA. They have Marta and 3 other players. Now they signed Rafaeli. And I'm looking forward to see them all play for Brazil in the summer.
Definitely. I mean, I think as a neutral fan, they're one of the most exciting teams that are in this whole World Cup, mainly because Marta, I can watch her play all day long, and obviously you've got Rafaeli, I should say, and the likes of Caroline. Is Caroline, if I pronounce that right? I do apologise if I haven't. As well, which is absolutely amazing. I think my first question for you, Gabi, is Rafaeli led the side at the final Ismail. How important is she to the side, and how do you think she can influence the games over this tournament?
I think she's currently one of the best defenders in the world. So I'd say she's a natural leader for this team, and the youngsters on the team will definitely learn a lot from her.
No, definitely. I mean, we obviously, as Arsenal fans, all of us on here, we're a bit devastated she's gone off to Orlando Pride. But Orlando Pride is also your other team, am I right?
Yes.
How big is that for Orlando Pride to have her there?
We've struggled a lot the last couple of seasons, and she'll help a lot, I think, especially 2 years ago, we lost a lot of players, especially defenders, and it's a bit of a rebuilding, I'd say. So her leadership will definitely help.
There's also another player that usually when it comes to World Cups, she's on the list up there with Christine Sinclair. This could be potentially her last World Cup in Marta. For those that haven't seen her before, how would you describe her, as you've seen her both for Orlando and for the Brazil side?
I think she's irreplaceable, and Brazil will definitely have some trouble to replace her in the years to come. This is her 6th World Cup, so she'll probably enjoy it a lot and want to make a lot of memories, probably with a medal and a trophy if possible, I'd say.
No, this is actually my first Women's World Cup, and I'm really excited, especially after the Euros last summer, for England and how massive that was for us. Who do you think has missed out for this tournament for Brazil, who didn't get the call up, and what are your thoughts on the final 23 for Brazil?
There's 3 names that come to mind, and all of them are out due to injury. One of them is Lorena, the goalkeeper. She is currently out with an ACL. She suffered a few months ago and is missing it. Then Angelina is also recovering from an ACL that she suffered in the final of the Copa America. And Tainara from Bayern, she also is out with an ankle injury. Angelina and Tainara are both as substitutes right now, so they could still make the squad, but Lorena is definitely a key because I'd say the goalkeeper union is a lot different right now.
Okay, brilliant. Well, not brilliant. Obviously, ACLs are a bit of a common thing going around because we've obviously lost Leah Williamson a few months ago and Beth Mead earlier in the season up at the Emirates, unfortunately. So we, as England fans, and Arsenal fans, we feel that pain for the ACLs, but we always wish any player that has an ACL to get better soon and get back on their feet, and we can't wait to have them back on the pitch. Is there anyone in particular to watch out in the squad?
I'd say some of the youngsters that are currently standing out. All of them play in the NWSL. Renina, who plays for Gotham. Caroline, who plays for Courage. Ari Borges, who plays for Racing Louisville. And Adriana, who plays for the Pride.
And I'm just. For me, I definitely will be watching out for them in the NWSL now on that recommendation. So thank you. I'm actually a Portland Thorns fan. I just saw their kit and I just fell in love with it. And I realised Christine Sinclair was playing over there with Sophia Smith from the US. So I'm currently watching them and they look good. They do look good. But I like watching any football as a neutral fan. Matt?
I think it's when you look at Brazil, you look at the squads they've had over the last couple of years. Whenever it's come to a World Cup, there's been an anticipation of them to go quite far, but for one reason or another, it hasn't gone to plan. Do you think this time around there'll be a star on Brazil's shirt soon? Will this be the tournament?
I think the team is rebuilding, and a lot of new players have come in this Yesungag era. So we could expect a good tournament for them, I think.
How far do you think the team's going to go overall?
I hope they make the final, but I guess we have to wait and see because most of these players have been in training camps together, but not really in tournaments. So we gotta wait.
Okay.
Speaking of trophies, Brazil head to Australia and New Zealand, having won the Copa America last summer. Apart from your injuries, has anything really changed with this team and the way they play, or in terms of players?
Definitely injuries changed a lot on the team and took a toll on the team. But I think that helped other players stood out and mark their spots. And I hope they can achieve great things this summer.
What do you mentioned that it's been a bit of a rebuilding? Is that what you consider a bit of a weakness in the squad? But there's a lot, for what we've seen from the final Isma, there's a lot of strength in that Brazil squad as well.
Yeah, I think the rebuilding of the team actually helped. They've been having quite good results recently, so I think that was necessary for them to be ready for the World Cup this summer.
So Brazil obviously lost to Canada on penalties in the Olympics, as well as the final Lisma. Do you think that is one of your worries for this team?
Could be considered a worry, but I know for a fact that they've been preparing a lot for penalties in case they happen. So I hope to see some improvement in that area.
No, definitely. I mean, I remember sitting in Wembley, the final Lisma. I had the perfect view of Rafaeli's penalty, and I was sitting there, please don't go in, please don't go in. And she I remember saying to myself, she hits the crossbar, I never want to take her to take a penalty at Arsenal. But I've never actually seen her score one. Have you seen her score a penalty from the spot at all?
I don't think so.
Brazil also faced Jamaica for the first time. Do you see them as a potential upset, or and I should say, and will you qualify for the knockouts?
I think Jamaica could definitely be a rock in Brazil's way, but they played each other in 2019 in the World Cup already. It was a 3-goal win, and the player who scored all 3 goals is not in the squad anymore. It was Cristiane. She would be playing her 5th or 6th World Cup if she was called up to this one.
Oh wow. Is there anybody else in the group you think is going to be a real challenge for Brazil?
France, probably. It's probably the toughest team outside of Jamaica from the all 4 that might be the hardest opponent for Brazil.
Just to put into perspective for those that don't know, Brazil haven't won in 11 games against France in the World Cup games. Is that worries? Is that you've yet to face France and win?
Yeah, I think it will definitely be a key game for the group stage, and I think in the France tournament, I think it was the last time they played each other. Brazil was in a bit of a tough position then, so I hope for a win for Brazil this time around, and I'm confident.
You've never met Panama in the CONCACAF, if I remember rightly. I think they're a part of that. I hope they are. Otherwise, I've just made myself look very silly. How do you think that game's going to go? Playing them for the first time.
I think they will prepare well for the game, study their opponents, but I also think Panama is having a bit of a trouble, especially defensively. They commit a lot of mistakes. We saw that with Spain last week. Their defense is a total mess, so I think Brazil will have a smooth run with them.
Yeah. Do you see? I dare I say it, do you see a cricket scoreline coming?
Probably a good amount of goals.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can definitely see a few of your players having some fun in that game. I'll be honest with you. There's no disrespect to Panama, but we know the caliber of Brazil's forwards. So I think that's everything now. Matt, have you got any other questions for Gabi?
Oh yeah, you were speaking of having fun at games. I don't know if you saw the video of them on the airplane having a bit of a dance, and I just think they were just generally having fun. Is that important to have that sort of closeness within the group, just to be able to relax and be able to have fun now and again just before you're going to a World Cup? Is that something that you're looking at the squad and being like, yes, the squad needs that at the moment?
I think dancing is a bit of a cultural thing for them. They're always dancing, always having fun with each other. it's like a ritual, I'd say. So they use it in celebrations. They use it for everything. So yeah, I would say so.
I'm really sorry about this, but I've just had another one. I remember reading an interview with Raffaele, and she said she couldn't dance. Is that anyway true? I know she said it, but I can't imagine her not celebrating with the squad when they dance and they celebrate.
I've never seen her participate in any TikToks or anything with the other players in the squad, but I guess if they're feeling in the moment of dancing in the celebration, I think she could dance with the team.
Yeah, no, I hope so, because I just want her and I want everyone that's going to the tournament to have some fun, and that's what it's all about, as well as representing your country. I believe that is everything from me and Matt. Gabi, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
My Twitter handle is AWFC Tobin, and that's pretty much the only social media I use. So they can find me there.
Okay, brilliant. Hopefully we will have you back on next season for an Arsenal podcast, which will be absolutely amazing. But for now, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and back to the pod.
Thank you once again for Gabi for her time there. Very much appreciated, and of course, thank you to Lottie and Matt for the superb interview. Brilliant, all three of you. So Brazil, interesting team to sort of pick apart here. I said last time they lost to France 2-1 in 2019 in the knockout rounds. I want to pick apart though how much any of you may have known of Brazil's venture at the World Cup last year. In the group stage, what position did they finish?
They went out the group, didn't they?
No, they went out of the group. They lost to France in the knockout rounds. But which position did they finish in the group?
I don't know, because this is my first World Cup, so I'm about now.
So I'm throwing it over to Matt. Do you have an idea? Where do you reckon they finished?
I don't think they finished third, if I remember rightly. I think they finished second in that group.
They finished third.
They finished third.
They were in a group, right, with Italy, Australia, and interestingly, Jamaica. Yeah. They finished third. Italy topped the group. They all tied on 6 points. And it was all done on the points difference and head-to-head, so it was all very marginal. But, yeah, Jamaica were the unlucky team. They got nothing out of that, but we'll come to that later. So this time around, obviously, they're hoping to actually go a bit further and maybe win the competition, something they've never done before. They have won plenty of Copa Americas, including very recently. That we all saw the pictures of Hafa coming home in the summer with a medal around her neck, along with the Euro winners. And of course, they compete in the FIDE Malaysia, which, Lottie and Matt, you were there for that one. Went rather well in the end, despite the penalty drama. So this time around, it was very stressful. This time around, this is the team that that's been picked by coach Pia Sundage. So the goalkeepers, you have Leticia Isidora, Camilla, and Barbara. In defence, we have Tamiris, Rafaeli, Antonia, Kafelen, Lauren, Brunia, Monica. In midfield, we have Adriana, Caroline, Luana, Ari, Anna Vittoria, and Duda. And the forwards, we have the legend, that is Marta, Dabinia, who rumoured to have almost signed, Arsenal were interested in last winter, should I say, rather. Beatriz, Andressa, Giza, Gabin Nunez, and Nicole. So I'm going to go to you first, Lottie. Who are you looking forward to seeing out of those?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. I think for me at the moment, key players I could go with Davina, currently at Kansas City. Very much a focal point for this team. 29 goals under Sunage. She's quick, technically gifted, and a natural goal scorer. And then obviously you've got the living legend herself, Marta, back from an ACL on the world stage, 17 goals in 20 World Cup matches. That is her record to break this tournament. Really, really, really exciting. Of course, our very own, not our own anymore, Rafaeli.
Former own.
She's still one of our own. She's Leah Williamson's bestie. Also captain. we know that she's got that commanding presence on the pitch. She's skillful with the ball and the ball at the feet. And then you've got Tamires. She's not your average fullback. True Brazilian style, she loves to get forward and create chances. Her dribbling, her crossing is a regular source of the Brazilian goal on that left flank.
Matt, I'm going to throw over to you. Who are you looking forward to seeing from Brazil?
I think this is one of those ones that is so hard to pick out one individual, but I've gone for a name that I know quite well from watching Roma quite a lot in the Champions League, my Italian team, for those just wondering. But she is a fantastic forward. She's brilliant at what she does. She's been scoring goals left, right, centre. She's been key to Roma being champions. Oops.
What? Oh, what happened there? You're right, Matt.
Yeah. To the audio listeners, we do apologise about that.
Yeah, Matt just fell over. I think. I don't know what happened
Matt
there.
Just dropped something.
I did. I'm moving it. So
No worries.
apologise. Yes, Andrea, she was just a fantastic player. She's my player to watch. I really hope the Brazilian squad and the fans have some sort of Mambo number 5 for their players, because you could a little bit of Rafa.
Samba. Sorry, it's Samba, not Mambo.
Yes. Right, now you can boo me a little bit.
There we go. We've lost the Brazil audience.
A Samba number 5, whatever. But you use the Brazilian players, so
yes.
Got so many decent players that you could probably make so many different lyrics of, and just fantastic. But they're a great side. Formiga, most caps with 209, which is up there as one of the highest international caps of all time in women's football as a whole. Marta, their top goal scorer with 115 goals. As you previously mentioned, it's going to be her last tournament. But also, you just mentioned Copa America. Adriana and Davina both scored 5. They were both top goal scorers for Brazil last time around. So there have been some. Obviously, Formiga doesn't play for Brazil anymore, but there's been some fantastic players, and I'm really
Formiga.
Yeah, see, I'm sure somewhere someone is cursing at me in Portuguese, and I'm just standing there like I'm trying to apologise for it. I have been crucified for worse. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to Brazil. Brazil are always a fascinating one, and what we saw at the final ESMA just blew me away. When Andrea scored that equaliser, I just stood up and applauded, because the way they were playing at the time, they just played that they could have quite easily gone and got a second and killed the game off, and we wouldn't have seen that penalty shootout.
Yeah, that game was interesting to watch, because obviously the first half England were typically quite good, but it did feel like Brazil had set themselves up incorrectly, and in the second half it was a completely different game. Brazil were all over us, and
Adam,
sorry
to butt in. I do want to add in something linked to the finalism. My one to watch for me is Caroline. She's back after 2 seasons being suspended after testing positive for on the drug testing.
Oh.
For me, it's her skill on her 1-3-1 situations. She's explosive on the ball, which makes her really unpredictable. We saw that in the finalism, and that she was very much key to changing that game. Yes,
and they did get obviously a late equaliser. They were assisted by Matt's favourite goalkeeper, but they did get the equaliser. But we were then treated to a brilliant shootout, and it's nice to see England actually win a penalty shootout for once. That was actually the Lionesses' first ever penalty shootout win after losing their previous 2. It's good you mentioned Caroline, because Caroline and Giza are 2 players who have been quite hot in the transfer market, linked to a certain club north of Watford. Interesting to see what developments happen there. One of those rumours was, however, very quickly shut down.
I believe it was
Barcelona.
half an hour.
It was the shortest. It was a transfer saga as short as the men's team's title challenge. It was quite impressive. So, Brazil, always exciting, always intriguing. My player is Rafaeli, as we've all sort of said, a unicorn of a player, left-footed centre-back, incredible. We had to, scour the world to find her. And she was, for the short time we had her when she wasn't injured, she was amazing for us. And she could have, if she'd been able to, she could have probably stayed with us for another 2-3 years. She will be at Arsenal, but she'll always be a legend. A bit like Jordan Nobbs. She may have left Arsenal, but she never will have truly left us. And we were blessed for the short time that we had our Arsenal. We were blessed to have her. But no, Brazil always excitement. Can't wait to see what they come up with this time around. I don't think they'll win the World Cup, but as always, I expect them to go deep in the tournament and entertain us along the way. Moving on from Brazil, we have it is a repeat for Brazil because they'll be playing Jamaica once again at the group stage. Jamaica must be fuming. This is their second World Cup in a row, and they're playing Brazil again. So it's one of these things, isn't it? It's just unfortunate. Their team, few familiar names in here. In goal, they have Rebecca Spencer, plays for Spurs, but did once play for the mighty Arsenal. Alongside her, we've got Sydney Schneider and Leah Brooks. In defence, we have Alison Swabby, Chantal Swabby, Konya Plummer, Denisha Blackwood, Vian Sampson, and Tierney Wiltshire. In midfield, we have Peyton McNamara, Drew Spence of Spurs again, and Chelsea. Those who remember Chelsea remember her doing a bit of damage on Kim Little when we beat them 5-0 at their ground. Still forgiven her for that. Trudy Carter, Solo Washington, Atlanta Primus, and Havana Solam. Now, probably the most notorious player is obviously Kajida Shaw, known as Bunny Shaw, striker of Man City, one of the best forwards in the WSL. She will be lighting up the World Cup this time around. Very excited to see how she does. And also alongside her in the front line are Jodie Brown, Tiffany Cameron Simmons, Kiki van Zanten, Paige Bailey-Gale, who plays in England for Crystal Palace in the Championship, Chaina Matthews, and Kayla McKenna. Now then, Matt, where do we start with that? Who's the players to look out for there?
I think there's an obvious one, but there's other players that I'm looking forward to see. Some of us won't know much about the Championship, so I've actually gone for Atlanta Primus, who's actually at London City Lionesses.
Yes, she is.
She's going to be a fantastic player to watch, get to know a little bit more about. I'm sure there'll be some teams that will probably be looking at some players pretty much similar in the WSL. Maybe they're not going to be able to get that international star that they're looking for it. So I'd imagine that they might look into the Championship and see maybe she's ready to make that step up. Very interestingly, Jamaica got to this World Cup through getting a third place playoff in the CONCACAF in their group. They ended up playing Mexico, winning 1-0. Bunny Shaw scored that one. 4-0 against Haiti. Carter, Bunny Shaw again scored 2. And then Drew Spence scored as well on that one. But they also lost 5-0 and 3-0 to Canada and US respectively. However, they beat Costa Rica in that final in extra time. And that was from Van Senten. So it's very interesting. But intriguingly, Bunny Shaw, 38 caps, but 56 goals.
It's incredible. I mean, if that's, we took these, we should say we took all these stats from Wikipedia. So, we are trusting the mighty Wikipedia there. But even say that goal ratio is outstanding. And if you go down from that, the next highest is, I believe, Jodie Brown, who has managed 13 goals with 29 caps. After that, the rest of the team, all single figures. She's an incredible player, Bunny Shaw, very much the talisman of Jamaica. Lottie, could Bunny Shaw get Jamaica out of the group?
No, definitely. There's no doubt that she'll be at the heart of all of the goals going. I mean, we saw her wonderful header against the Arsenal in Meadow Park before Katie McCabe said, "No, I can do one better." But yeah, no, she'll definitely be at the heart of it. I actually read somewhere. Does anyone actually know why she's called Bunny? As a nickname.
Did she like Looney Tunes as a kid?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know then.
I
Basically,
genuinely remember this because she did explain it to the stated killing of you, didn't they? With on the FA player, and she explained it then, but I can't remember it. Sorry, Lottie, go.
No worries. She's nicknamed Bunny, because for her love of carrots from when she was little, it's kind of just stuck. She just loved her carrots, but yeah. So that's why.
There you go. You learn something every day.
Yeah, no, definitely. I read it. I think I picked it up off the FIFA website itself. So, I think it's really interesting. This team this time around. It's the second World Cup. I've forgotten his first name, but Donaldson's now back in charge. He did resign in 2020, but he's now back. He's led them in the CONCACAF Women's Championship to that third place, as Matt just said. He's still testing out his combinations between a 4-3-3, 4-3-2-1, and a 4-5-1, so he can get the best out of this team. Mixed bag of results: 4 wins, 8 defeats from these first 12 games in charge. 3 of those defeats were only 1-0 losses, though.
So defensively, they're quite good. They're quite stable.
As long as they keep it tight and just don't make any mistakes, I think they're all right. They'll be all right. I think the one to watch for me is going to be Jodie Brown. She made her debut in 2018 at the age of 16. She was named the best young player of the CONCACAF Women's Championships that year as well. Hat-trick against Cuba, en route to the crucial goal against Panama, which got them to the third place playoff.
Should just say on that defensive front, if you go through their record from the last World Cup, it was a 3-0 loss to Brazil, a 5-0 loss to Jamaica, and a 4-1 loss to Australia. In the last game, Kerr got all 4 goals. So obviously they'll be hoping to improve on that. And if you're saying that defensively they're a bit more solid, that would bode well. Can they get out of the group, Matt?
It's tough. You would probably say no, but you'd probably imagine that. I mentioned they've lost 5-0 to the US and 3-0 to Canada. It doesn't bode well when you play in the teams like France and Brazil, but because Jamaica have that experience of playing those big teams, they might make it a little bit more difficult to maybe see how it goes. And then again, when we talk about France, it might be a different game changer because of everything that's gone on. We are due to talk about a lot of the controversies around at a later date.
Yes.
Because there's lots of things going on. But if Jamaica can actually make a statement and get out of the group, I think that's a bonus for them. Not only for Jamaican football, but just as a whole. It's a new name. It's not the usual US, Canada that are bearing the flag for CONCACAF.
It's good to see that they're sort of becoming a frequent this is now a frequent appearance of the World Cup. It's their second in a row, and there is talent that we all know the names of, shall we say. They're not, as we'll get to later in the pod, they're not all unknowns. They're players with elements of notoriety that we know about and we've seen, and they are talented. I think my prediction will be that Bunny Shaw will probably get a goal. I hope she'll get more than one, but I think she will make her mark on the tournament. If she's going to become a top scorer, it'll depend on whether the team can progress. I don't think they'll get out of the group unless Brazil or France drop their sort of guard, they lower themselves and they get slip up and do a 0-0 draw. They'll be my tip for third place. But if Brazil or France drop the level, they could easily sneak in. And thank you. I was just following what you were saying. Yes, there has been some obviously things with the Jamaican, their sort of GoFundMe, the funding, and there's been quite a few teams in the World Cup where this has happened, and we're hoping to cover this in the pod soon. So keep an eye out for that. Last word on this one, I'm going to give to you, Lottie. Any thoughts on Jamaica? What are we looking forward to? Where are you going to get out the group?
Third for me.
Third for you? Okay.
Yeah, I can't see them getting past the Samba in Brazil and the French. It's not going to happen.
Good that you mentioned the French, because that is, of course, where we're moving to next. So love the segue. France, under new management, Hervé Renard, are in the World Cup once again, hoping to sustain the progress they made at the Euro 22, get to the when they got to semi-finals. We're just going to quickly go over the team first. Some familiar names for those of you watching the WSL. In goal, we have Pauline Peyraud-McGinn, ex-Arsenal goalkeeper, now at Juventus. Solène Duran and Constance Picard, and Mylène Chevap. In defence, the legend that is Wendy Renard, Sakina Karchaoui, Yves Perisset of Chelsea, Asatau Tonkara of Man United, Elisa de Almeida, Selma Bacher, Estelle Cascarino of Man United. You may not have seen her play there. Maëlle Lacroix, breaking news, and this is obviously very sad. Amandine Henry is now not at the World Cup after suffering an injury in training. She's out. Amel Majri, Grace Gioro, Kenza Dali of Aston Villa had a great season with Aston Villa. Sandy Toletti, Léa Legarec, Oriane Jean-Francois, Lorena Faza, those are the midfielders. And in strikers, we got the legendary Eugene Le Sommer, Kadidacho Diani, Viviane Essay of West Ham, Clara Metu, Naomi Feller, and Vicky Becco. So before we pick apart the French team with Lottie and Matt, I was lucky enough to catch up with Arsenal fan Louise to go over the French team. But before we go there, I should just say, audio listeners, mass apologies. As it transpires, there was a bit of a technical cock up with the sound system. So I sound even worse than usual. So if you are listening with headphones, you might want to turn it down a bit when I start speaking. Unfortunately, we didn't realise until after the interview complete. But if you can listen past that, you'll be able to hear what me and Louise were discussing. So over to Louise. Hello everyone and welcome to another fan interview for the Vic Acres Wonderland Road to Stadium Australia podcast. This interview we're talking about France, and I am delighted to be joined by the embodiment of optimism and joy herself, Louise. Louise, bonjour, how are you?
Hi, I'm all right. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Excellent. Now, those who don't know if you follow Louise is very big on the Arsenal on Twitter, very positive, promoting a lot of positivity around Arsenal. It's honestly a joy to see your tweets when they come up. I do very recommend. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Thank you.
And I knew when I first met her, which was in the Netherlands, that she was an Arsenal fan because she had an ACL injury. So she was ACLing before ACLs became cool. But not only is she obviously a massive Arsenal fan, she's of course a massive fan of France. So I can think of no one better to pick apart France's attempt to win a World Cup. For those who don't know, their first World Cup was way back in the midst of time, in 2003, where sadly they did not make it up the group stage then, but they have got better since. And their first European Championships was even further back in 1997. Again, they didn't get out the group stage, but again, they have much improved. As an England fan, I first encountered the French in 2011 when they played in the World Cup hosting Germany. Then it was a 1-1 draw. They equalised in the 88th minute, and in typical England fashion, we lost on penalties. So, and it didn't go much better for England after that. 2 years later, they knocked us out of Euro 2013, 3-0, and Hope Powell lost her job over that. The legend, the great Hope Powell, and things went a bit different after that. But we did get better. We did beat them in Euro 2017. But this is a French team that I'm sure you agree, Louise, is loaded with talent and has been for years. Only last summer, which, as you say, as we're going to discuss, was your first tournament. They actually got to the semi-finals of the Euros, which was their best ever finish. So I think we'll pick up the story from there. What was your Euro 2022 experience watching France?
Well, to be honest, at first I went in with pretty much zero expectations because I hadn't been following them that much before that point. I had heard about them, of course, and I knew like some of the players because I really like football. So I see really good players and I'm just like, wow. But I was really happy at first with how they were playing, even though some people were saying they were a bit flat. And then I read about the whole Corinne Diacre controversy, like their coach was like really not well liked. And so I was like, oh yeah, you can feel that team is like not really united, as opposed to like teams like I don't know, England gave me very like united vibes. Even the teams that lost a little bit earlier in the tournaments, most of them were like very connected, which I didn't feel for France, and that's exactly what happened. And then came Marie-Antoinette Katoto's injury, which was a really bad one. I mean, ACLs, they suck.
Another ACL injury. I mean, that Euros was quite what it felt a bit with the Spain team. Obviously, we had Piteus with an ACL before it even started, and then I remember watching. Which game was the ACL injury? And I can't remember. Was it the first one or was it the second one? I can remember.
I remember it was the second one, I think, because
second game.
At first, like everybody was very hopeful, and then like when she got injured, I think it also gave like a massive blow for France because I mean she is an exceptional striker. She's an exceptional forward, and without her, we lost like a lot of our clinicality in front of goal, which was not really easy to make up for, especially with a team that was so struggling for unity and struggling to be like one and to actually be a unit. So yeah, and when they lost to Germany, I mean, I already knew I was going to the final, so I was like still happy to be going to the final.
Yes, yeah.
But it made me root for England even more because it was like, okay, you have to just figure this out. England, you have to win this, otherwise I will not forgive you. So they can book a Eurostar.
I should say, my experience of following France at the Euros, I only got to go to one game, and that was a semi-final. Out of all the groups, I tried to go to as many groups as possible, but because of transportation reasons, trying to get all the games, there was one group I had to miss out, and that was sadly the French group. So I remember checking in at Brighton, in my hotel in Brighton, before England's game against Norway, and obviously there'd been a lot of controversy on France, some of the selections, some big names got left at home. I think Amélie Henry, I think got left. I think Léa Sommer, I think she didn't go either. I know Jack had sort of fallen out with a lot of players, and so I watched this French team and I wasn't sure what to expect. Now playing Italy, who I think everybody had a bit higher expectations for, and I was just blown away by them in that first half when they ran up 5 goals, and I think it was Giora, got hat-trick. And I think it was Katoto and Cascarino got the other goals as well. And I thought, wow, this is a really, really good France team. I thought they were, and then they did sort of peter off as the group study progressed. I think they got a 1-1 draw of Iceland with a very, very, very late penalty. But the fair enough players got to semi-finals, and I went to watch them in Milton Keynes. And I thought they looked good. I thought they looked very good. Germany had Pop, and obviously Pop was until the final. She was looking like to be the main striker. But I remember watching the French team and thought, they're them and Germany. They're going head to head here. It was a pretty good game. It was 1-1 until very late on when Germany won it. That's sort of been the story of France overall. With so much talent, they've never been able to push on and do. We'll get to a final. I think the best performance of the World Cup was in 2011. They got 4th place. So here's hoping they're going to do a bit better this time around. And this time around, Diaka is no longer the manager.
Yeah.
So yes,
I was about to say a bad word. I'm not. I don't know.
No bad words on this podcast. We should say Diaka's. I remember the air around her was that she was sort of a combination of sort of Cruella de Vil, the Wicked Witch of the West. So just and the Ice Queen from Narnia, just sort of this embodiment of evil that no one liked. Well, she's thankfully gone. So I'm now going to give you a chance. Tell us all about the new manager of the French national team.
Okay, now we have Hervé Renard, who used to coach the Saudi national team, like the men's, and he's a really good coach. Like he made them become like way better, like the Saudi men he coached, and everybody like was raving about him. And when he was rumored for the job, I was like, oh, he's never going to take it. Like he's never going to go from a men's national team to the women's national team. Like I did not see that happening. And then he was like, yeah. And I was like, what? And so that's very exciting because like the first thing he did was like actually like honor the players who like made the history of this French team, and he called them back, like all the ones that had been excluded. And right before he was appointed, before Jack got dismissed, Wendy Renard and a few others like Khadija Diani, they said that they didn't want to be a part of the national team anymore until there was change. And like he brought them all back all together. And from the videos we've been seeing from that camp, everything looks like in better spirits. And I mean, the 2 games they played and won, like the 2 friendlies that happened in April, were to me really a testament to the work he's done on this team, because there's always been really, really good players. I mean, like you have Sakina Karshawi, Selma Basha, Wendy Renard in the same defense. You have so many good players up front and in the midfield. Like, of course you can do something great. You just need to like unite them. And they did that. Like the fact that they came back from nearly losing to Colombia or to going like 5 up or 4 up, I don't remember. But yeah, it was like incredible. And I was like blown away, and everybody seemed so happy. And now Amandine Henry is back in the lineup as well, which is really cool for her. And apparently Hervé Renard is like, he's the one to like joke about it. And like he was sat at the table, Amandine Henry and somebody else who had been excluded, and he said, oh my gosh, I'm like at the rejects table. Like he's a fun man. in interviews you can tell that he really like wants to do something with that team, and he really has a belief, and he really wants to do good in Australia, which I think this ambition and this unity are two things that had been lacking, and I really hope that it's going to work wonders. Of course we're going to have to face Brazil, which is not fun, but
No.
no.
No, we should say France obviously did host the World Cup 4 years ago. Sadly, you weren't following the game at the time, but in that tournament, it got as far as the quarterfinals and lost to the USA, which is there's no shame in losing to the US, and obviously you'll be hoping they can go maybe one step forward, further. This time around. If we look therefore at the group, it is France, Jamaica, Brazil, and Panama. Simple question: which game are you looking forward to out of the three?
Honestly, I think I'm looking forward to the Brazil game. Like, I mean, it's gonna be great. I love the Brazilian players. I love all of them. Like, I love Rafa. I love Jace. I love, like, there are so many players who are legendary in that Brazil team, and I want to see what the matchup is going to look like. Like, it's a group game, and of course, it's better if we win it because then it makes our path like way easier. Because if we finish second in that group, this is going to be so hard. But like, I just really want to see a good game of football, and I really think that the Brazil game is going to be really good. Like, those matchups are going to be on point, and it's going to be, yeah, a very exciting time to be a France fan, I think. Because, like, honestly, nobody really expects us to win against Brazil, like, especially this strong and united Brazil. Like, we are kind of in an underdog position, kind of, like, in the way that, for example, the Lionesses will never be because they won the Euros, so they're never going to be considered underdogs. But France is like, we're on the comeback, like, we're like going uphill and trying to make our way. And I think a game against Brazil can give us some confidence, especially if we play well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Who in the French team should we be? Well, firstly, who are you looking for? Who's your favourite player in the French team? Who's the one that you adore at the moment and have got put all your chips on?
So I have so many chips on Selma Basha. She's my favorite person. Like, she's such a good player. Like, she blows my mind. She has this little like crazy thing about her, but she's great. I really love her, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Clara Matteo is going to do as well, because she plays for Paris FC, which is like not such a big team, and so you don't really often get to see her with like the big names. She often like is the leader on her team, and now she's more like an underestimated player on a big team. So I'm really looking forward to what she's going to do. And also, I'm so excited to see Lorena Fazer made it, because like she's my favorite youngster at PSG. Like,
She's
I
only
love
19.
her.
She's only 19 years old.
She's crazy. Like, she's so good. And sometimes, like, of course she's young, so she still like makes mistakes, but sometimes she just does things, and you can see her on the field. She's like tiny. She's truly teeny tiny, and she just goes around and does things. And I'm like, oh my god, okay, Lorena, I'm your fan.
That's a lot. So a lot of players we should obviously be looking out for. So if we look at the tournament going forward, how far can France go? They have won knockout games before, but I think the furthest they've ever got is a semi-final in Euros and World Cups. Can they go do another semi-final this time around, or are we looking at another sort of falling short, do you reckon?
Personally, I'm hoping for a semi-final. Like, I don't expect them to win the whole thing. I don't expect them to get to the final, because we have a tough, like, our side of the tournament is quite hard. But I do think we can hope for a semi-final, and I will be crossing my fingers, crossing my toes, and like hoping that Renard rotates as well, because he has quite a wide range of players to play, and I think a lot of it's going to play like. The fact that so many of those players haven't been on the national team for a while is going to be in his favor, because there's no blueprint for the way this team plays together, except for those two friendlies and the two ones that are upcoming. This team hasn't really ever played together like in front of people, so most of the group and most of the other teams in general will not be expecting what they are going to put out there, and I think this could be playing in our favor in a way. I'm very hopeful.
It sounds like for the first time I can think of forever, ages since I've been following women's football. There's actually a positive vibe around sort of the French team. I grew up looking at the other side of the team, the men's team, for example. I'm so used to there being chaos in the camps. I think back to 2010, which was sort of I know.
It was so bad.
I know. So it's just for Raymond Dominic, who was in charge at the time. It was, I mean, we had as an England fan, we didn't have World Cup then, but it was sort of like, well, at least our World Cup wasn't as bad as France, who, to cap it off, lost to South Africa at the end. It was very, very funny. So I'm just used to there sort of being a chaos and carnage in the camp. And the women's team, it was sort of the same as well with Diaka. So it's really refreshing to have this positive vibe around the camp, and I really think that will put in good stead. Just in terms of, because I have yet to see, obviously, a lot of us this will be the first time we've seen France play in this new manager. What sort of style are we looking at? Is it ultra attacking? Is it counter attacking? Is he got pacey wingers? What can we sort of expect from this France team?
Okay, so he has really, really pacey wingers, and they're like, all of them are very committed to like going forward, which I really like. But we also have such a solid defense that we can like actually get balls back, even when they're like the situation is scary and stuff. Wendy Renard is like, I mean, like her or hate her, she's still like an amazing player.
She's a legend. Okay, we should make it clear. Wendy Renard is a legend. I mean,
my one goal of Australia is to take a picture with her because she's like about 15 feet taller than me, so that would be the funniest picture in existence.
She is a giant.
Know, I'm very tiny, so
no, yes, I have noticed that whenever we met. Should Wendy Renard, for those who don't know, is the and if you don't know, where have you been, is the captain of the French national team, central in the heart of the defence, and she is she's a giant in terms of legend, but she's a giant of a footballer. Captain also for back in the defender for Lyon as well. That's another actually thing with Lyon. Lyon obviously have been the big titans of women's football, certainly on the European plane with numerous Champions League wins, and it's always been a curiosity that never translated over the international stage. And we're actually sort of seeing that with Spain and sort of Barcelona, this sort of mismatch between international non-success and club success. So interesting to see if that does carry over. You did mention the fact that you are actually going to the World Cup in Australia, which is incredible. I know, which we'll dive into now, but I was lucky enough to do the home Euros, drive around the country. It was all very easily accessible. Australia, I don't think people comprehend. Australia is massive. It is, and like when a comparison I can think of is from an ignorant Northern Hemispherian. Obviously, in England, we've got England, and we have like Ireland as the island just off the coast. Like New Zealand is hundreds of miles away from Australia. It's this huge to get anywhere, to get to a city, you've got to fly basically game to game. So, how are you doing this?
All right. So basically, the thing is, because last summer I was kind of stuck in bed and recovering from my ACL, I decided to make this next summer that is upcoming really big. So when I saw like that the World Cup was in Australia, I was like, no, that's crazy. Like, you're not going to go to Australia. And then I was like, but why not? So I've decided to only go towards the end, because before that I have like things happening and I cannot afford to be like for all over Australia for a month. So I'm going to Sydney, and this is going to be my main base, and I'm going to do the quarterfinals and the semifinals in Sydney. Then I'm flying quickly for 3 days to Brisbane, where I'm going to go to the third place match, which was actually something I decided on a whim like a week ago. My friend was like, hey, let's do that, and I was like, cool. And then she was like, koalas, and I'm like, okay, game and koalas, I'm okay. So I'm doing that, and then coming back to Sydney for the final, and then flying home. So it's like about 12 days of me in Australia being a tourist, watching football, and hopefully taking a picture with Wendy Renard so that we can make the funny height difference thing. But yeah, I think it's going to be, honestly, it's quite crazy. Like, I can't believe it myself that I'm actually going. Like, I'm going to be traveling for like 29 hours. I have a layover in the middle of Texas. Like, what am I doing? It's okay. I'll buy a hat, like, and I'll be a cowboy for the day.
So you're flying from France to Australia via Texas.
It's so weird. Most of my friends who've been to Australia before have flown via like the Emirates or something.
Yes.
But my flight goes through Dallas, and I'm like, okay, yeehaw then.
Fair enough. We get to tick off another country along the way. I do.
Yeah.
I do wish I could have gone, but I mean the costs and the timings and stuff. I feel like it's one of those ones like the tournament. I'd love to be able to sort of live the story of it, and it's really good it's in Australia because obviously there's plenty. Our fellow Aussies, the Caitlin Ford, Steph Catley, we got players down there who this is going to be amazing for them, and I hope it's going to have a similar impact women's football wise in the country that the Euros obviously has for us. We are now sadly coming to, and we are running out of time, so I just want to leave the final thought from you. Obviously, you think success will be a semi-final. Can France win it? Yes or no?
I think they can.
Mm.
Honestly, like they can, and yeah, I want that for them. This is not the most realistic outcome, but I think they can win. And I would love it for all the veterans that have been fighting for that team for so long, like the Amandine Henrys, the Eugénie Le Sommer, Wendy Renard. They've all been here for so long, and I would love it if they could win it for Delphine Cascarino as well, who just recently injured her ACL. She's
Another ACL.
Yeah,
two
she's one of my
ACLs.
very favorite players, and like I'm gutted she's not gonna be there, but like also understand why she wanted to like make sure that she was fit because she didn't actually rupture it. She just like injured it, and then she was like, yeah, it's like so injured that I need the surgery still, so might as well get the surgery, get it done, which like it's fair enough. And I also want them to like prove that when they're united and when they have a coach that believes in them and that doesn't like bully them, they actually can go far. So I will be rooting for France, and I have like I'm gonna get my new France jersey soon. I think I'm gonna like get it, get a name on the back of it. I'm not sure yet who, but I will get a name on the back of it.
You can get a French name on the back.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one. Like probably Selma Basha, to be honest. Like I love her. I'm a faithful person.
Well, as is you, Louise, you leave us on a positive note. So before we wrap up, just want to know, where can people find you on your socials?
Okay, so I have Twitter, and my Twitter is Arsenal, like the word Arsenal, and then my name Louise with 2 E's at the end because the one with only 1 E was taken, which was it's still a sore point actually. So Arsenal Louise, and that's my Twitter. I'm not that interesting, but I tweet a lot. And
you do yourself a disservice.
No, but like I mean, I never really understood why people would follow me because I do like I don't know. Most of the time, I'm just like being happy about something or like just saying something is cute over and over again. Like that's my brand. But then on match days, I'm like focused on the game and like talking about it nonstop. And it's just, and sometimes I go on crazy adventures because I travel to London quite a bit for Arsenal. So
yes, you do.
Sometimes it gets chaotic and I just end up like on a flight that's delayed and then I arrive late. It's fun. Like I just I tweet about it and people are like.
Speaking of your crazy escapades, we should just quickly drop in that you obviously got into a picture with Beth Mead at the Lyon game when we beat Lyon 5-1. There was a wonderful picture out there of you with the was it the Beth Mead's on fire sign, isn't it?
I'm not the one with the sign, but I think you can see the sign on the picture, but the picture is like her reaching out her hand and protecting her hand. It's very cinematic, and Girls on the Ball, all credit to them, are the ones who took this picture. And I'm so grateful they posted it because like, yeah, I look so happy on it because I really was so happy. That was such a great game. And like, it was incredibly amazing.
It was the guest Mead on fire, so that's the one I'm thinking of. But yes, thank you very much, Louise, for your time. It's very much appreciated. If you do want to follow me on Twitter, God knows why I'd want to, but I wouldn't say no. It's at Adam Salter 4, and that's the same obviously for my Instagram when I occasionally take pictures, very occasionally.
I follow Adam, and I.
Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated, and thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in for this particular fan insight. I hope you, as I did, found it very insightful, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Thank you once again, Louise, for your time, and apologies again for the sound issues we have. Hopefully this is coming through to you okay now, for those you listening to pod at the moment. So France never won the World Cup, finished fourth in 2011. That was the best finish. They actually got that far because they beat England on penalties, as you have heard me mentioned many times in the interview. This time around, though, they're under new coach, and the vibe is positive. Not the normal chaos and carnage we associate with the French World Cup camp, but they are, in recent breaking news, they are going down without one of their players, Amandine Henry. Lottie, I'm going to go to you first. How big a loss is this going to be?
Sorry, Adam. Could you repeat that again? I did
So-
miss that.
How big a loss is Amandine Henry going to be for the French team?
Oh, she's going to be a huge loss. Especially in that midfield, we've already got the likes of Delphine Cascarino and Marie Antoinette Catato missing, and only leaves Diani up top on her own. I refer to them as the three musketeers because when you think of the three up front, it's them three that are there. And unfortunately, Diani is on her own, but not to fear. Clara Matteo is going to be there along with Eugenie Le Sommer. So it's not the end of the world, but they're all out of injuries. Delphine Cascarini being the most recent victim to the ACL run that's happening across the world in all leagues. But yeah, no, it's a massive loss. But my question is, who's going to replace her? I'm not even sure who.
It does leave a bit of a gaping hole in the midfield. She was one of the more experienced players of the team. Missed out on the last Euros because of the politics with the previous manager. Who I must admit is probably one of the most sort of hated individuals into the manager. That no one seemed to like her. It was very, very bizarre. But yeah, she was obviously moved on, and Hervé Renard, ex Saudi boss.
No, definitely. I mean, Hervé Renard has been in charge since March 23. He's won 2 African Cup of Nations. One was won by Ivory Coast. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. He's been with them for 2 games because they qualified on their own, or more or less with Corinne. 54 goals, only 4 conceded. So it's
pretty good record.
Not a bad run, especially when they were up against the likes of Greece, Slovenia, Estonia, Kazakhstan, and Wales.
They did actually play. We were actually fortunate enough to, those of you who did tune in, I was distracted because I was watching Andy Murray at Wimbledon. I think I made a mistake there. But France were playing the Republic of Ireland the other night, 1-3-0. The Irish actually did very well to sort of hold them off almost until half-time, but 2 quick-fire goals, including one from Le Sommer, sort of took the game away from them, and they got a third in the second half. Should just add on that one, actually, there was a moment where Katie McCabe, the captain, did get subbed off early in the first half. We understand at this point it is purely precautionary, and it's not an injury, because that is one player I do not want injured at the World Cup. I want to see Katie McCabe on the world stage.
In a sentence, if it happens,
no,
definitely get in the
I was saying, right, okay, again. It wouldn't be the first time.
Everybody said it.
I said it, but I'm saying I wish it's precautionary, and I can't wait to see her play at the World Cup because the World Cup needs Katie McCabe. However, Le Sommer, one of the goal scorers, for me, one of the players I'm really excited to see at the for France at the tournament, now back in the main squad. Have very traumatic memories of her because she frequently scored against England in major tournaments and helped knock England out of them. Very talented player, 88 goals. She's got the highest amount of caps, 177. She's the top scorer. Oh, sorry, 89 goals actually, with the goal against Ireland recently. So she had top goal scorer, top caps in the team. Brilliant forward, and I think if France are going to do well at this tournament and go a bit further than they did last time when they went out in the quarterfinals to USA, they're going to need Le Sommer's goals to push them on. I'm going to come to you next, Matt. Who is your player you're excited about seeing?
So just before that, you've asked who's going to be replacing her. Well, Sylvain Jamat, who is actually a sort of friend. We know him quite well from his time with the women's supporters, and he does a lot of coverage with the women's team. He's tweeted out that the replacement is the Manchester United player Asayatu Tukara, who was the outfield reserves. Also mentions that France have lost their 2 number 6s in Jean-François and Henri, with Hamarou, Rui, Bilbao and Passit, the other number 6 recently used, not being selected for any reason. Hervé Renard has made a bold choice. But he's called up a centre-back who's had not much game time at Manchester United. I'm a bit familiar with that.
Isn't her contract's out? She's off, isn't she? That's what I'm hearing. She's meant to be leaving, apparently, but we're not here to talk about that. But yeah, sorry, Matt.
Yes, so just remind me what you were talking about.
I was saying, who is a player you were excited about watching in this French, very talented French team?
To be honest, you could name so many of them. Khadija Diani was my choice, but you could pick out Kenza Dali. You could pick so many talented players. I mean, we saw a lot of the Euro, I think during the Euros we had a sort of question mark over who would you rather play in the final? Would you rather play France or would you rather play Germany? And
my answer was always Germany.
Yeah,
We know
and
how that happened.
I was at the semi-final Milton Keynes and I was watching the two of them play and I thought actually these are pretty even to the moment and I'm nervous about just because the talent I was seeing between the two of them. I was very nervous thinking, oh, crikey. And France actually, they did well. It was an own goal, but they were the first team to actually get a goal against Germany at the tournament. And I was thinking whoever we get, it's going to be a bit of a talent. Obviously, we got Germany and it all turned out well in the end. But yes, sorry, you were saying, Matt.
yeah, no, it was just in general that tournament they got their act together and they really did it. This time around, they're going to have a manager that they're going to trust and who's earned a lot of credit because of what he did with the World Cup with Saudi Arabia. Just to put it into context, in their Group I they were in, they only conceded 4 goals, but they had 54 goals scored. So that's hugely impressive for a team that basically were disjointed, that didn't trust the manager, but still managed to go. Unfortunately, Marie Antoinette Katoto was their top goal scorer. She's not going to be there this time around with 10 goals. So automatically, that's 44 goals that have been scored by other players that have been used. Sandrine Soubiranian is their biggest player with the most amount of caps, 198 overall. And I think you'll probably want to talk about that player, that amount of goals that she's now scored has now changed from 89 to 90.
Yeah, I just said that, mate. Well, I know it's 80. I had 88, but I think it's gone to 89 now, or even at 89 to 90. It's Les Sommer you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, just want to quickly on that one, Les Sommer. So, yeah, top goal scorer. Without looking, who is the second highest in that team?
With all
in that squad, who's the second highest scorer for their country in that squad?
I would have said
I'm going to go for Diani.
Diani, Matt, are you going for?
I would have gone Amanda Henri, but unfortunately she's injured. So
no, it's Wendy Renard with 34.
I wouldn't have.
Oh, you're joking.
It's a defender. Yeah, 100. Yeah, 34 goals. She's the second highest goal scorer in that team.
She's one of the tallest players, isn't she? She's like 6 foot.
She is a giant. She's from corners. If you need a goal last minute,
that is
whip
one
balls
defender
in.
I would never like to defend against. I think even you would have a tough job, Adam.
Yeah,
me and Matt have got no chance.
She's like 6'8" or something like that, and that's what. It's just imagine if it was France versus England in that Euros final, it would have to have been Jill Scott marking her from corners. You would have had.
100%. Speaking of Wendy Renard, she is one of my key players to keep an eye on. Captain, central defender, 141 matches, 34 goals, as Adam has just mentioned. She's actually spent 17 seasons at Lyon now, 450 appearances, 137 goals for Lyon. She's an 8-time Champions League winner, 16-time. Is it Deschamps?
Did he Deschamps?
No, I don't. The French league.
Oh, sorry.
League champions in France. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name. I do absolutely no disrespect to any French fans that do tune in, and also a 10-time winner of the France Cup.
No, she's a legend. I know there are many legends, but she is.
Yeah, and then there's. Yeah. Sorry, and then there's Selma Bakker, who Louise has talked about quite a fair bit.
We should give her a shout.
Yeah, no, definitely. She's 22 years old, and I dare I say it, she reminds me of being the French Kate McCabe. She can play down that left wing, complete up front and back. She's already a Champions League winner. Won the league over in France and has got 2 French Cups since the age of 16. So, and then there's also Leah Legeric. Experience and ability to team is just untouched. But the one to watch is 19-year-old forward Vicky Becco. At 15, she won the under-19s European Championships. She's solid on her feet. Her technical skill could be the difference in this France team if she gets the minutes.
Well, certainly when I downloaded the team sheet, she hadn't actually had a cap. Well, goal or a cap. She hadn't yet played for the team, so it felt a bit like a Theo Walcott sort of team.
Yes, the senior team she hasn't played, but she's played for the under-19s and won the championship.
So I I hope she does come off the bench and have a go, and could be one of these young players who, lights up the World Cup. You think back to 2011, Caitlin Ford was the young player of the tournament back then. Then a bit of an unknown, and obviously now we know her rather well. So yes, definitely one to look out for. Before we wrap up on France, just to say there was a bit of a breaking news about one of the players. Matt, did you ever hear about Diani, about some recent news?
So originally she was on a free contract, and she is now official. Well, not at this moment, but it's rumored that she's going to be officially signed for Lyon.
Yes, we believe now she has left PSG and moved to Lyon, which one to look out for next season. There's she is a talented, we believe she are. That's quite a signing for Lyon. So obviously one to look out for.
I think it's a massive one, because normally she plays out on the right, but this year she's been playing through the middle, so she can now play right and through the middle up top. So I think that's going to be really interesting.
Excellent. So the last team is Panama. Again, we leave them to last. The debutantes. Last time out, it was Vietnam. I did make the extra mistake of trying to put Costa Rica in that group, although they have actually been in the World Cup before. But yes, Vietnam and now Panama. We love debutantes, like Haiti as well. So the team, and if you have heard some of these players, then you obviously have been researching the game very well, and I tip my hat to you. In goal, we have Sasha Fabrega. In defence, we have Hilary Jean, Wendy Natis, Catherine Castillo, Yomira Pinzon. In midfield, we have Desiree Salazar, Emily Cadano, Chandra Gonzalez. Forwards, we've got. I see. So I've just realised actually how my order is actually completely off. So forget positions. So it's ordered by squad numbers. So yeah, Emily Casado, Chandra Gonzalez, Carla Riley, Marta Cox, Natalia Mills, Yenef Bailey, Riley Tanner, Carmen Montenegro, Rosario Vargas, Rebecca Espinosa, Laurie Batista, Erika Hernandez, Linef Sedano, Aldrif Quintero, Nicole de Obaldia, Farisa Cordoba, and Karina Baltrip Reyes. So yes, lineup. There are the top scorer is Cardano with with Marta Cox with 9 goals. Debut tournament. Matt, how did they get there?
So they qualified via the Intercontinental playoffs. They originally were in the CONCACAF Group B. They finished 3rd overall, so that's how they qualified. In the CONCACAF, they lost to Costa Rica 3-0 and Canada 2-0. They beat Trinidad and Tobago 4-0 with Granados with a brace, Hutchinson own goal, and Alvarado. Yeah, I did say that right.
Yep. Scoring.
They beat Papua New Guinea 2-0 with Cox and Tanner scoring, and then 1-0 in the final against Paraguay with Renda Deno scoring the winner in the end.
So yeah, they beat Paraguay. They beat Paraguay to get to the World Cup itself. It's quite the group they've ended up into. France and Brazil. Lottie, I mean, it's an obvious question, but what
again?
Is there anything they can get out of those, or even Jamaica?
No. Again, as Gabi said in her video, they're very defensively weak. It's great that they're there. They've qualified. It's absolutely fantastic for the team and Nacho Quintana. And he's already come out and said Panama will show the world what we have, that we have arrived. So I think that's going to be really interesting, because they've never played France. They've probably come across Jamaica in their run, but they've never played Brazil. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But I still think I say what I said earlier. Brazil going to have a field day, absolute field day for me.
And I think France will as well. I think both. It is a real shame that I'm all for. I've said it on pods and I'll previously say it again. I'm all for a new team to surprise everybody and get out the group. But unfortunately, women's football and men's football, it's not the same. There is still a big gap between the up and coming new teams and the established, just because of the way funding has been delayed and held back in other countries, and only now they're starting to get into tournaments. I wish, as I've said, with the likes of Haiti and the likes of Vietnam, wish Panama all the best. I hope they have an amazing World Cup. If they get a moment, even scoring goal. I mean, last World Cup, Jamaica, they only scored one goal, but that was sort of their moment. I mean, it was in defeat, but now they're back again, and I think they might do a bit better this time around, and hopefully it will be the same for Panama. It's hopefully will be the first of many trips, appearances at the World Cup, should I say? But yeah, I can't see a group. I think they will be the bottom of the group. I think they will be the team everybody beats 3-4-0. If they get a draw against any of the teams, fair play to them, and they can take that back with them as an incredible result.
I think success for them would be scoring the World Cup. That would be the massive success for them. And it's just that, again, the draw's not being kind to them. A bit like Republic of Ireland, not being kind at all.
This is huge, though, just because if you think about it, in 2018, the men's qualified for their first World Cup. Come 6-7 years later, the women do exactly the same. That's the first time that's ever happened, I believe, in the World Cup. You can comment below if I am wrong, or if you want to tweet me and tell me I'm wrong, fair enough. People do that anyway. But it's moments like this that we always like, because it's almost not only the equality of the unknown, but it's the development that they're pumping into football. Panama, Costa Rica, they all play in their own league, and essentially, if you see them my player to watch, Rebecca Espinosa, for example, if she has a good tournament, there's a chance there might be WSL teams. There's other teams that might be interested in her come the end of the tournament.
See, I was just saying, just to wrap up, as a kid watching the Men's World Cup, I remember Trinidad and Tobago. I remember when we played him in England and, took a crouch header, grabbing onto the defender's head to do so, to get a very late winner, and then obviously Gerard's screamer afterwards. I remember teams like that. I remember the Panama game when we won 6-1, but they got their goal, and I remember having them in the tournament. It's always exciting when it's not the usual suspects, when we get these unknowns, these new teams making their debut. And again, as I said with other teams, I'm really excited to see what Panama do, and we wish them all the best. But that is your Group F run through. So we wrap up, as we always do, with our five-a-side picks. So have your team sheets ready. Lottie, I'm going to come to you first. Who have you picked for your dream Group F five-a-side?
Okay, so I've got Céline Durand from France in goal. I've got always be our own Raffaelli in defence. I have got Marta Kotz in the middle from Panama. I've got Khadija Bunny Shaw from Jamaica up front, and I've got the legendary Marta up top, because this is the last time I'll ever get to pick her name. So it has to be done.
Matt, over to you. Who is your five-a-side team?
So I went with the Brazilian goalkeeper. She had a really good game in the final, Isma. Barbara, Rebecca Espinosa as my defender, Sandy Toletti of France, Caroline also joining that in the midfield, and Paige Bailey Gale of Jamaica.
Yeah, I think I might have copied Lottie's notes on this one. I've gone for Pauline Payroll McGinn in goal. I've gone for Haffert in defence. I've gone for Wendy Natis in defence, and then I've gone in midfield. I've gone Marta, and in strike I've gone Shaw. So I think we may have picked some similar players in that one.
Yeah, no, I kind of it is a case of I've always tried to not pick the Arsenal players.
Yeah,
I want to pick players that I like and I'm quite looking forward to watching. So I can't not pick Raffaelli.
No, you can't.
Just can't. I just want to see her to Samba. That's what I want. That's all I want in this tournament.
Absolutely. And if
number 5.
Samba number 5. If those of you watching on YouTube, if you have any alternative ideas for their own five-a-side team, do leave a comment or drop it on the Twitter when we post it. Before we wrap up, I just want to quickly get your Group F predictions. Lottie, who's going to top the group?
It's going to be between France and Brazil. End of story. So don't know which order. Then it's going to be Jamaica and Panama. And
can France or Brazil win the World Cup? Because they've never done it before. Can they do it this time around?
Let's be serious. French fans will expect them to get to the final, nothing less. But I think France will go out of the semi-final. Brazil, quarterfinals, unfortunately.
Okay, Matt, over to you. Same question.
I would love to see nothing more than Brazil be able to get to the final. I don't think they will a bit, unfortunately. I think it's the way that the knockouts have ended up working out for them. But I think Brazil will top this group. If I'm honest, they've got a strong.
Okay.
They're the strongest team in this. I think there's only a little bit, but I reckon Brazil are going to win it on a last-minute goal or something like that. I'm going to go with Jamaica third and then Panama last, but anything can happen because we're going to have the old, as we saw in the Qatar World Cup, that extended minutes, the 11s and 10s and things like that.
The added time, ridiculously long. It could go either way. Do you think either Brazil or France will win it, or do you reckon it's just semi-finals, quarter-finals?
I think it's semi-finals, unfortunately, for Brazil. I think with France, it's almost like unknowns, and you don't know what you're going to get with. You're taken over at this time. I think it's too early. I think realistically, they'll look at Switzerland's 2025 Euros as their opportunity to try and win.
You can see, like I think with France, they're either going to crash out of the last 16 or they're going to go all the way to the final. There's no sort of mid-ground there. I don't think either of them will sadly win it, but I'm sort of leaning towards Lottie's one. I think France will go deep. I think they will get as far as semi-finals, depending on the luck of the draw. And I think Brazil will probably, sadly, maybe only go as far as the quarters. But that's it. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much for joining us on this Vic Akers Wonderland discussion on Group F. It only leaves me now to say goodbye to my superb co-host. So, Lottie, where can we find you in the world of social media?
At Lottie_AWFC.
And likewise, Matt, where can we find you?
You can probably complain at me at MattLR28.
And if you have enjoyed listening to me, and okay, I'll take that as a compliment. You can read more of my musings at Adam Salter 4. But that's it. That's the end of the pod. The end of the show. We will be back soon with another pod to pick over Group G. Will I be hosting that one, or will somebody else get their own chance? Find out next time.